For decades, some of Hollywood's greatest films were declared dead, lost to fire, neglect, or fate. But what if the world's vaults and archives are hiding more treasures than anyone dared believe? Imagine watching history resurrected, one reel at a time. Why do these vanished classics suddenly reappear thousands of miles from home? And what secrets are packed inside their frames? This time, we follow the trail of 8 cinematic phantoms. Just wait until you see what's been hiding in plain sight. Metropolis 1927. There are lost films, and then there are lost legends. Fritz Lang's Metropolis was both the blueprint for every dystopian future ever put on celluloid, yet tragically incomplete for most of its existence. When the film debuted in 1927, it was a revelation. A mad, visionary epic that imagined a city of the future teeming with machines, class struggle, and forbidden love. But Lang's masterpiece was butchered by censors and distributors. Over 40 minutes were hacked out, storylines vanished, and some characters disappeared entirely. For more than 80 years, fans and scholars obsessed over what had been cut, poring over production stills and scripts, hunting for clues in half-remembered reviews. The missing footage became the most coveted holy grail in film history, believed lost forever, until a miracle happened in Buenos Aires. In 2008, a battered 16mm print surfaced in the archives of Argentina's Museo del Cine, almost as an afterthought. An archivist realized the reels held scenes never seen since the film's Berlin premiere. The footage was rough, scratched, and riddled with time's decay. But what it revealed was nothing short of astonishing. Vital subplots involving the worker hero, Josaphat, the thin man spy, and entire action sequences that shifted the story's emotional balance. When the restored version premiered in Berlin in 2010, audiences finally witnessed Lang's full vision, grittier, more politically charged, and shockingly modern. It wasn't just a restoration, it was a resurrection. Critics marveled at the depth suddenly added to characters and the haunting rhythms of a narrative now allowed to breathe. For anyone who'd ever fallen under Metropolis's spell, seeing the rediscovered footage felt like peering through a keyhole into cinema's past, and finding it was even grander, darker, and stranger than anyone dared imagine. The Buenos Aires find didn't just rescue a film. It reignited the conversation about lost art, cultural memory, and the pure, undying magic of a real, long-thought-dead, but waiting, quietly, to change the world all over again. The Gold Diggers, 1923. Most stories of lost films begin with fire or neglect and end in heartbreak. The Gold Diggers, 1923 was one such casualty, a silent-era box office smash that should have anchored Warner Brothers for decades, but instead faded to myth as nitrate prints decomposed or were tossed out as yesterday's news. The film was famous in its time, a riotous modern comedy about ambitious chorus girls outsmarting lecherous millionaires and stuffy old men, with a wit as sharp as its sequined costumes. For almost a century, all that remained were lobby cards, music sheets, and vague memories from those lucky enough to catch it during the Roaring '20s. The Gold Diggers wasn't just entertainment. It was an early blueprint for the Backstage musical, and the first in a long-running franchise that shaped Hollywood's depiction of women and power. Then, in 2021, the impossible happened. Deep within the vaults of Cinematheque in Brussels, archivists stumbled upon a trove of silent film reels, and there, labeled and mostly complete, was The Gold Diggers. Only reel 3 was missing, but the bulk of the film survived, its humor, heart, and dazzling choreography shockingly intact. Restoration experts worked with reverence, digitizing each frame and reuniting modern audiences with a story that had been silenced for generations. The rediscovery was a bombshell for film historians and fans of early feminist cinema. For the first time, viewers could see the original's sly jokes, clever intertitles, and the subtle way it lampooned the social climbers and gatekeepers of old Hollywood. The film's return isn't just about nostalgia, it's about giving credit where it's long overdue, shining a light on the forgotten architects of American comedy. The Gold Diggers is living proof that treasures still lurk in the vaults of Europe, waiting for a curious eye to restore them to their rightful place in cinema's golden story. Beyond the Rocks, 1922. Imagine being told that the only on-screen pairing of silent film royalty, Rudolph Valentino and Gloria Swanson, was lost, maybe forever. For most of the 20th century, Beyond the Rocks was more rumor than reality. Film buffs mourned it as a kind of cinematic Atlantis. Two icons, one romance, and not a single copy left to prove it ever happened. Only lobby cards and a stray review or two hinted at what the world had missed. A melodrama brimming with longing glances, impossible love, and swirling gowns. The odds of it ever coming back seemed thinner than a silent-era starlet's eyebrows. Then, in 2003, a Dutch collector made a routine donation to the Netherlands Film Museum. Hidden among his dusty reels, canisters marked Beyond the Rocks. No one quite dared to believe it until the first frames flickered to life, grainy, luminous, and unmistakably real. What archivists uncovered was the cinematic equivalent of buried treasure. Valentino in all his smoldering glory, locked in a tragic love triangle with Swanson's luminous heroine. The drama crackled, the costumes dazzled, and every scene dripped with that feverish, silent-era passion Hollywood hasn't managed to replicate since. Film historians practically wept. Swanson herself, who'd long lamented the film's loss, never got to see her triumph resurrected. But for new generations, it was like opening a time capsule sealed with hope and heartbreak. When the film premiered at Cannes in 2005, the applause was thunderous. This wasn't just about the romance on screen. It was about giving Valentino and Swanson the cinematic reunion they deserved, proving that sometimes even the most impossible celluloid dreams really do come true, hiding out in barns and basements, just waiting for the right set of eyes. Wings, 1927. It's hard to fathom that the very first film to win Best Picture at the Oscars could almost vanish into obscurity, but Wings 1927 flirted dangerously close to that fate. Directed by William Wellman and powered by the charisma of Clara Bow and Buddy Rogers, Wings was a spectacular vision of war, friendship, and the heady rush of early aviation. Its dogfight sequences were years ahead of their time, making audiences gasp and inspiring countless filmmakers for generations. Yet, as decades passed, pristine prints deteriorated, and many crucial scenes disappeared entirely. For years, surviving versions were incomplete. Aerial battles were missing chunks, love scenes felt choppy, and Paris's raucous energy faded to a whisper. Then, in a twist worthy of Hollywood, archivists at the Cinémathèque Française unearthed a nearly perfect nitrate print, long buried in their Paris vaults. Suddenly, Wings could soar again, restored to its original 2.5-hour glory. The restoration let audiences finally witness Wellman's epic as it was intended. Chaotic dogfights, sweeping camera movements, and emotional crescendos that felt brand new. When the film was re-premiered, critics and fans alike were floored, not just by the technical marvel of the restoration, but by how modern and alive the film felt, even nearly a century later. Wings is more than just a piece of Oscar trivia. Its resurrection from the depths of a French archive is a testament to the international nature of film preservation. It's a potent reminder that the stories we tell, and the ways we tell them, can't be contained by borders, languages, or even the ravages of time. For anyone who loves movies, Wings is a rare, exhilarating victory lap for cinema itself. Taxi, 1928. Sometimes lost films don't return with fanfare, but with a quiet, almost comic twist, just as Taxi, 1928 would have liked it. This early talkie, starring Edward Everett Horton, was once considered just another casualty of Hollywood's ruthless transition from silent to sound. The original negatives and prints disappeared without a trace, and for decades, the only reminders were newspaper clippings and a handful of lobby cards. But film fate can be as unpredictable as New York traffic. In 2024, a misfiled 16mm show-at-home reel, long overlooked, was rediscovered at the New York Public Library. There was no red carpet, no media circus, just an eagle-eyed librarian and a battered tin that refused to be ignored. When experts finally viewed the film, they were treated to a slice of late 1920s city life, Horton's wry humor, rapid-fire gags, and a bustling Manhattan backdrop captured just as the Jazz Age gave way to the Great Depression. The dialogue crackles with wit, and the physical comedy rivals the best of Chaplin or Keaton. Beyond its laughs, Taxi, Taxi is a time capsule, freezing the chaos, hope, and hard luck of working-class New Yorkers on the brink of a new era. Screenings of the restored film drew audiences both for its novelty and its freshness. It's not a great lost epic, but something better. A piece of everyday movie magic, finally given its due. In the end, Taxi, Taxi reminds us that not all lost treasures are grand or tragic. Some are simply charming, brimming with humor and heart, waiting patiently for the next fare, the next audience to come along. Its quiet return is a testament to the unexpected joy that still lives in forgotten corners of cinema's greatest archives. Upstream 1927. The story of John Ford's Upstream is proof that even the biggest legends can lose their past to time, and just as suddenly reclaim it in the most unlikely places. For decades, this backstage comedy drama was the lost child of Ford's filmography. It wasn't a Western nor a brooding epic, but a sly, funny, and surprisingly modern send-up of vaudeville egos and ambition. After its 1927 premiere, Upstream vanished, leaving behind only cryptic mentions in studio ledgers and wistful footnotes in biographies. Film scholars considered it a casualty of Hollywood's great nitrate purge, its memory fading with every passing year. But the world's archives are full of surprises. In 2010, a reel labeled Upstream surfaced in the New Zealand Film Archive, part of a trove of American silent films shipped overseas and never returned. Restorers in both hemispheres worked meticulously, splicing together a narrative lost for nearly a century. What emerged was a Ford film unlike any other, boisterous, affectionate, alive with backstage energy, and already bearing the director's trademark empathy for outsiders and dreamers. The story follows a troupe of struggling performers, knife throwers, prima donnas, and would-be stars, each desperate for applause and a shot at the big time. For film historians, the rediscovery was electric. Here was Ford, playful and satirical, poking fun at showbiz without the mythic weight of Monument Valley. The restoration became a festival darling, and audiences, many discovering Ford's early humor for the first time, were charmed by the sheer humanity and wit. Upstream is living proof that even the masters began with little films, and sometimes those humble, overlooked works contain all the DNA of genius. Its New Zealand rescue is a cinematic homecoming, a reminder that sometimes it takes the world to bring Hollywood's best back to life. The Heart of Lincoln, 1915. It almost sounds like fiction. A 1915 film about Abraham Lincoln, starring Francis Ford, disappearing for more than 100 years, only to re-emerge in a small-town archive. The Heart of Lincoln was considered a foundational piece of early American cinema, a drama that turned a national icon into flesh and blood, mixing historical reverence with human warmth. Yet, as film stock decayed and archives burned, this ambitious work faded into myth, remembered only by historians and silent movie obsessives. For most, it was simply gone. Then, in 2024, the Historic Films Archive in Greenport, Long Island, made an announcement that rippled through the film world. A nearly complete nitrate print of The Heart of Lincoln had been found, nestled among reels from forgotten local collections. The film's survival alone would be remarkable, but its restoration, painstakingly digitized in 4K, revealed a work that was more than a historical artifact. Audiences saw a Lincoln who was vulnerable and conflicted, a figure as much as a father and husband as a statesman. The film's crowd scenes and battle tableau are surprisingly ambitious, showcasing a director unafraid to tackle national myth with both spectacle and sensitivity. The impact was immediate. Scholars rushed to re-examine Ford's legacy, while new viewers found themselves unexpectedly moved by the intimacy and urgency of silent storytelling. The film's resurrection was more than a technical feat. It was a fresh conversation with America's past, a second chance to experience a country defining itself on screen. The Heart of Lincoln stands as proof that even century-old films can find their way home, and that sometimes the true heart of a nation beats in the flicker of rediscovered frames. The Conquest of Canaan, 1921. Every so often, a lost film resurfaces far from home, its journey as dramatic as any Hollywood script. The Conquest of Canaan, 1921, directed by Roy William Neill and based on Booth Tarkington's celebrated novel, was long believed gone, just another casualty of the silent era's volatile nitrate stock and Hollywood's relentless churn. American prints had vanished by the 1940s, and most thought the film's legacy was nothing more than a paragraph in Tarkington's bibliography. That changed in 2010, thanks to a remarkable act of international film diplomacy. While conducting a routine inventory, archivists at Moscow's Gosfilmfond, the Russian state film archive, unearthed a nearly pristine copy of the film. Forgotten for decades, the reels had survived Soviet purges, world wars, and the Iron Curtain. Digital transfer and cooperation with the U.S. Library of Congress meant that the conquest of Canaan could finally be seen by modern audiences. What viewers discovered was a compelling, elegantly shot morality tale. Social climbing, betrayal, redemption, and a grand sweep through the politics of a small American town, all rendered with subtlety and sophistication. The film's restoration didn't just return a lost classic to American audiences, it symbolized the global nature of cultural memory and the strange, beautiful ways that art travels, even when its makers are long gone. For historians, it was a tantalizing reminder that countless treasures may still be slumbering in foreign archives, awaiting rediscovery. For audiences, it was simply a pleasure, the thrill of seeing a slice of Americana that, against all odds, survived the journey from Hollywood to Moscow and back again, proving that in cinema, nothing truly great is ever lost for good. The next time you hear about a film lost to history, remember, cinema's greatest treasures can resurface when and where you least expect them. Which rediscovered gem blew your mind, and what other classics do you hope are still waiting out there? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit subscribe, and share your own lost movie legends below. After all, in the world of film, the story is never truly over unless we stop searching.